And hello, everyone. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with my co-host,
Hank.
and we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illumidonkey, and all those who wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Here at the final battle, T-0 and counting. How's it going, Tank?
Well, it has been quite the day, first I want to clarify that I guess it was said the other day that about Tank's new network. There is no new network that I have. There is a network that Kim is spearheading and brought people together that E-Project will be working with. Is going to be called the United News Channel. And I met with her team of really powerful and talented individuals today. And we talked about it and started to get some of got the logos done. And we saw there's a lot of work that we have already done that we can, use to help launch that. And the whole idea is to have a network that actually puts out real news and actually provides solutions to help people. She's gonna have some really high level tax experts. There's a former FBI white collar crimes expert there who's gonna talk about ways to overcome some of these banking obstacles, and provided the most incredible map I've ever seen of all of these, of the actual banking system and the Babylonian money magic today. And there's going to be interviews with these guys, and they're going to really lay this out there and put education out there to everybody to explain this is what's taken so long, this is what had to be overcome, and this is where we're at now. And it would appear that it really is the final battle, and we're doing okay. We're doing okay. It looks like we're, I would encourage everyone to, put all the love and light and hug your kids and call your mom and do everything to increase the energy and confidence and out there, because it certainly is important right now. And today has been amazing. I've seen more incredible things this past week, focusing just on solutions, than I've seen in many weeks prior. Put it that way.
Yeah.
So and tomorrow we are doing an interview on the STEELE project, maybe the FrontLines, not sure where we're going to do this yet, with Kim and Ava. If anybody watched the interview with, or the interview where Kim came out a few weeks ago with Thomas, Ava was on there, and Ava's going to be like the newscaster, one of the newscasters for the United News show. So, we're going to do an interview with both of them so they can talk about this new network.
That's
and also, they're going to provide a platform for products that are really the best products on the market that aren't making it to the market. All types of things that really aren't getting promoted. And that includes this incredible car that's out there. It is the most amazing, it looks like a car out of a superhero movie. It's amazing. That is actually an electric car. It's supposed to compete with Tesla.
Yeah, you can do a lot of amazing things with electric motors, and I was involved with a company called U.S. Power. It's building some of the components for Ford for their electric vehicle. Going back maybe 15 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
The president of that company was a friend of mine, and so it just the electric motors are really fantastic. I had a Prius. I loved it. I used to be really fan because I had the sports package, or the high tech model, and it had power mode buttons. You push it, right, and so both the gasoline engine and the electric motor would engage at the same time off the line. And so I used to race like motorcycles.
Wow.
Porsches, right? And
yeah,
and now definitely they could eventually, pass me.
right.
But off the line, I had this constant acceleration where the gasoline motors always had this little jump back, right? A little bit of along the way, and so they would always get mad because it was a Prius.
Yeah, I hate the Prius. I don't like Toyota in general, actually. But.
It was my first Toyota, and I'd say as a car, and listen, I didn't like the other ones, the without the power mode. I ran it in power mode all the time, and it had that nice little pep. It lasted to basically 100,000 miles, and then the engine gave out.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah. But I did that. I put that 100,000 miles on there within 3 years. So.
Wow. Well done.
Yeah. So anyway, it saved a lot in gas. It was that.
Yeah.
It also had keep in lane, right? So it saved my life. A lot of that driving, you get a little drowsy.
Oh,
and it would go beep 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 and bring back into the line. Right? Then it's time to get off the road and take a nap.
Yeah, no, I actually, that is one feature I do love, actually. I had that on a Subaru that I also hated. Yeah.
Well, there was a Honda that I was looking for the hybrid vehicles, and the Honda had one where it came off the line. When you first push the pedal to the metal, it would start with the gasoline motor and have the electric motor kick in later. It was the opposite on the Toyota. So between the two, the Honda felt more like the traditional car on how it operated, right? But you really had that initial torque that was part of the electric motor that you really got you a good jolt going off the line that I liked much better. So that's why I actually chose the Toyota when I did get it. Anyway, I ended up getting 2 Priuses in a row because I was just doing so much driving. I figured, there was so much problem traveling to the airports, right, and getting flights. And if I go to Utah or Nevada or Arizona or Northern California, I was making this constant loop around, and I said just the time wasted at airports, renting cars and everything. It was just faster to drive to most of these places, right? Because of just waste time, at the airports, 3 hours before, less than an hour afterwards, all dealing with getting a car. So it's 4 hours, both directions. That's 8 hours. So if I had to drive 10 hours altogether, it definitely made more sense. And then I didn't have to deal with TSA.
Sure.
But anyway, little side note there. So this is an amazing time. So what else is going on? Since this new network is now officially going to be rolling down the line here. What else is going on?
Well, it looks like that's going to be a segue to lead into money being freed up as well. Yeah. I mean, we know what Kim has done already with the post office, and apparently President Trump has finally caught on. It took him 3 weeks to realize, I guess, what she'd done.
Well, he's had his hands full, dealing with Fauci and Burke and Raymond. Yeah. It's fun. I like seeing what he wasn't wearing masks, but all the medical, Fauci and Burke and Raymond, they're all wearing masks behind him. It's like, you look like fools now. Right? They really do. And then all the media takes their masks off as soon as the cameras are stopped rolling. They're such a farce.
It's such a sham. The whole thing is just, it's a big joke.
I got. Sorry to interrupt, but that just reminded me. I got this video that was sent to me, and it's of this Russian general, and he's also a doctor, and he's outlining who the enemy actually is and who we're actually fighting with this coronavirus. It's all in Russian, but there's subtitles. It's a little long, but it is truly amazing if you care to go through it.
Sure, go for it. Sounds great.
It really outlines what the Russian point of view is, that he's part of the defense higher-ups, right? And he's giving an interview. And it just fits in so well with everything that we know, right? So let me go ahead and let me share my screen with you first. Share it with our audience.
Генерального штаба вооруженных сил России.
So I'm going to lower the volume, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it as we go through. But we'll hear him in Russian speaking as well. So I'm going to slow down his he speaks a little fast for the subtitles. So, it starts off and says, today we have Vladimir, no, but these Russian names.
Kashkov.
Kashkov?
Kashkov.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Colonel of the GRU Military Intelligence Officer, a public figure with a PhD in military science.
Кандидат военных наук, общественный деятель Владимир Васильевич Качков. Здравия желаю. Владимир
Good
Васильевич,
afternoon.
да, добрый день. Владимир Васильевич, знаю, что у вас...
Vladimir Velesevich, I know you served among other things as the leading researcher of the Centers of Defense and Strategic Studies of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. Considering your expertise, what do you make of the coronavirus phenomenon? It's exactly as perspective that you need to examine it from, not from a public health perspective, nor epidemiology, etc. The coronavirus phenomena that they have falsely deemed a pandemic needs to be examined from the perspective of global powers. Religious, political, financial, economic, and national. The coronavirus phenomena, the so-called pandemic, and let me tell you, there's no pandemic. It's all a lie. Needs to be considered as a global strategic special operation.
Wow.
The coronavirus phenomena, the so-called pandemic, and I'm sorry. It's exactly how you need to think of this thing. These are our command and staff exercises of the world's behind-the-scenes powers on controlling humanity. This is what the goal of the coronavirus is. I'll repeat once again. We have little faith in God, even less in the existence of Satan, the enemy of the human race. So the aim of the behind-the-scenes Zionists and financial powers is reducing the world's population. It's their ideal fix. They think there's too many of us ordinary people in the world. There should be around 100 million of their own kind and a maximum of 1 billion people on the earth to serve them. Then they'll be living in abundance here on earth. Because us, the people, the earthlings, there's too many of us for the behind-the-scenes world powers. This is why the coronavirus and the financial crisis that has emerged almost immediately, they're inexorably tied to one another. The aim is to stop people's movement around the world to curtail political freedoms. In political terms, it would be practically impossible to do all that there is, all the differences in constitutions, whether they're being... what was that? I lost track. I hate to miss a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's been good for a while there. I lost track. Where'd it go? Yeah, this is it. Yeah. Oh, so in political terms, it would be perfectly impossible to do all that. There are differences in constitutions, whether they're being impeded or not. Is a different question.
Implemented, okay.
However, there are some political rights that people are accustomed to and they believe are theirs to have forever. The first attempt is always to take the rights from the people happened on September 11, 2001, 9/11. Not many seem to remember that after the so-called attack on the World Trade Towers Pentagon and the White House in the USA, the global war on terrorism was declared. Let's remember, in order to understand what the coronavirus is now, let's analyze that first. The declaration of war on humanity that was disguised as a war on terrorism. That was 19 years ago. The behind-the-scenes world powers created the events of September 11, 2001, 9/11. Now they need their excuse for greater control and to take over of humanity. That's how they came up with the coronavirus. Basically, put it this way, it's not a pandemic, not an epidemic. Even now, I literally looked up the data this morning. 300 people in the world die from it daily. Yes, you can imagine what kind of scale this is. Of course, I'm sorry about each person who dies, but 300 people across 7.5 billion people, that's basically nothing. These command and staff exercises of the behind-the-scenes world powers have an aim to limit different political rights and to make people afraid. The fools are already grabbing food in the shops here. Millet, buckwheat, etc. Toilet paper? Yeah, even toilet paper. God. Why? The goal is to scare people. Once again, these are command and staff exercises of the behind-the-scenes Zionist and financial liberal world powers that aim to of emitting the political rights that the people are basically accustomed to having, especially in Western Europe. That's their second goal. The first goal is to reduce the population numbers on Earth. That's their satanic goal. The second political goal of the behind-the-scenes world power is to seize power. The third goal is related to the finances. Financial, we already know, at least those, it's going too fast. Go back over here. He's just getting excited. The second goal is the behind-the-scenes world powers to seize power, and the third goal is related to finances and the power over the economy. Financial, we already know. That's those who are interested in this. Now for every product that exists, please give me your pencil. Let's do an example. Okay, let's say this pencil costs you 1 ruble or $1. Let's say it's $1. For this pencil, it was issued 20 times that amount in money, promissory notes, equities, and other financial derivatives. That means if you take the real value of this pencil, $1, it comes from different paper that carries 20 times the value. According to the financial and economic relations have gone from the real economy to this virtual economy. It's a financial bubble that exists now, which encompasses, I think, 1 quadrillion and 200 trillion. It's a complete financial bubble. It needs to be deflated. FRS, the Federal Reserve System, literally some days ago, that was in February, I think, introduced a 0% interest on deposits. Now in many countries, it's even negative interest rates. That is, you deposit $100 and you get $90 or $95, but at least you still got it. So we're going to be getting negative rates now on deposits, so the wealth has to be deflated. How will it be deflated? Again, through this artificial international, we see the economy has crashed. It's clear accordingly. We can't meet our domestic demand like we did before. You need to tighten your belts, etc. Now, it's a very important moment. Note, it's allegedly started in China, even though the Chinese are now adamant that they report the coronavirus was created artificially. It has an artificial origin. It's been proven scientifically. Of course, it's a virus, seeing that it's the simplest kind of microorganism. As far as I remember, mutations can happen, but they're of an accidental nature. When you take the RNA molecule, not DNA, they have RNA, and there's part of a genome that's clearly been carved out and another one inserted in its place, and this happens 3 or 4 times. It's perfectly obvious that the Chinese scientists have figured this out, and it was artificially created and the purpose spread initially in Wuhan. They had 2 kinds, 2 viral strains. Okay, now, what about Italy? What happened there? How come a strain that was even more dangerous than the Chinese one supposedly appears in Italy? I think they have a few thousand infected and 1,000 have already died. But again, 100 times more people die in Italy from the flu, pneumonia, whatever that is, and hepatitis. Scaphola. I don't know what that is. But you don't talk about that. Instead, we are being served specially political information, propaganda, psycho-information. Special psycho-information operation of the world global mass media that is starving behind the scenes Zionist liberal powers that are creating this terror now. This is why you need to deal with this phenomena as we would a special operation that is conducted in the form of a command and staff exercises. Now they're looking who's obeying and who's not. In China, they introduced strict measures, but then Comrade Xi went to Wuhan and put the pro-American party faction who took that road in their place. In China, not everything is smooth there. They have, let's call that a pro-Chinese patriotic faction that's somewhat close to us, which is associated with Xi Jinping. And he's saying close to Russia. And there's obviously a pro-American ex-Cosmolo members that are money-oriented, simply put it. They have their focus on the dough, money. And they, of course, tied to use the coronavirus in Wuhan to gain certain economic and political benefits. So I would, just to stop there, it sounds like he's talking about Fauci. The pro-American
Obviously.
side. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, he's just trying to be very clear and direct, population control, fake pandemic, designed to control and wipe out people. Because he said, because there's too many ordinary people. Holy cow, that's a really powerful interview.
Yeah. It only has a few more minutes. We'll finish it out. The rest of it goes into this other video that's talking about that God gene that they edit out with a vaccine.
Wow.
right? So I think they're implying that that's part of the coronavirus in this video, but it's not him. It's not part of this Russian interview. It's part of this video. But anyway, we'll finish the Russian video out. Comrades, he put them all in their place, and consequently, it was over when the virus in China, and then it started in Europe. So that's actually an interesting point. So Xi comes in, he clamps down on them, right? Stops it from spreading around, but then it pops up in Europe, and it's in Italy, and it's a different strain,
Right.
More deadly,
Mm-hmm.
right? So interesting. Accordingly, we, as military intelligence, look at who it is obviously, and where it is also obviously, Europe and China are the two geo-economic adversaries of the USA.
Right.
And this is where they injected the virus. This virus also had a fourth dimension as well, an economic one. The first is religious one, destruction of the people on earth, reducing the population numbers. So that's the religious element, that's the way he looks at it. The second is to establish political goal over humanity. The third is the financial deflation of the gigantic financial bubble. And the fourth dimension is an element of their geo-economic competition. And this, I'm telling you, from a perspective of an officer of the Center for Defense and Strategic Studies of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. It seems like he has a good perspective on things, I would say.
He sure does. I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
This is my assessment of the current epidemic. Vladimir Volesevich, you spoke with clarity and laid out the military style. Can you give us predictions for the nearest future? In connection with the coronavirus? Yes. What do you think, which countries would expect pressure next? Russia, of course. It's going to be Russia, surely. Because for America, Russia is an economic competitor. Now the main efforts behind the scenes world powers are focused on causing disruption in China and Western Europe. And Russia is their target on two accounts. They want to reduce our population numbers and cleanse the territory. That is still to come.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty high level report.
Yeah.
You know, he just outed the cabal.
Yeah.
I can't believe this guy walks out of the interview alive.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It is. It's totally awesome. That's why I said it's well worth going over
crap.
this.
Somebody needs to get that out. Like somebody.
Maybe we need to have it on our own platform.
That's right. I forgot. That better get up right away.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. We really are in a breakthrough, aren't we? My gosh. Yeah. High-level generals for coming out sharing stuff like that. That's amazing.
Well, we've got less than a minute left of him, and then it goes into that the God gene editing. So
Oh my gosh, this is a great video. Yeah.
So let's go. So of course we would like to hear your opinion regarding a practical plan of action, how to act, how to protect oneself. Some recommendations. Dig a hole. Bring a bunch of food. No. He doesn't go there. Maybe it's not your field of expertise of what to do, but maybe, of course, you could tell us something. I'm of course no epidemiologist, but although I could say that I'm what is that? Parasitologist? Parasitologist?
Parasitologist.
Parasitologist. Okay, there you go. What is that? Do you know? Parasitologist?
Somebody who knows about parasites, I'm guessing.
Okay, all right. Because you have to be one in order to understand the power structures in Russia. Pretty funny. So I'm speaking as a military doctor, epidemiologist, parasitologist. Until we're able to get rid of our internal parasites who rule over us, we won't be able to tackle other parasites.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy is a mic drop.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he is. It was totally amazing, interview. That's why I said it's really worth doing, and anything else we can, I don't know, focus on maybe other things that he's done. Try and I don't know if we could interview him, but just
I want to put out what he just said, just from the standpoint of being like, to every one of you coward ass generals supporting this, here's what it looks like to serve your country. Wow.
Right. I mean, and look at the Russian perspective on it. Right. It's like it's against the cabal. They know what they're fighting is against the cabal, yeah. And they're not the main targets of the cabal right now. They know that they're coming after. So.
I mean, that goes all the way back to the Romanov, dynasty. The Romanov czars.
Right, because the
Bolsheviks fighting against Rockars.
Yeah, exactly. The Bolsheviks are the Zionists. They're the Khazarian mafia, and they needed to get rid of the Tsar so they could put in the central banking system, and that was under the USSR, right? And then they got rid of it. Putin got rid of it. So, all right, we'll go back into. Let's just get a couple minutes into here. I already seen this video a long time ago. This part. It's just worth listening to see what they're, why it's attached here. I can only assume they say it's part of what the coronavirus vaccine is about.
Excuse me. On the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics. And this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalists, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach. What you see
here by fighting this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from going on a combat and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior.
That's all we really need to go on that. So you vaccinate people against the VMAT2 gene to eliminate this overexpression, which leads to fundamentalism, or the God gene is what it's being referred to as, the belief in God. You can vaccinate against God.
I got to tell you something about this.
Okay.
So I didn't make the connection until just now, but I have a hacker who provided me documents and told me that 3 years ago the CDC was targeting religiously fanatic. He said religious heads is what he said, right? That's how they described it. Mm-hmm. People that had religious organizations and things like that. But I realized what they were talking about is religious fanatics. And they were targeting them, to bring out this war, to identify who they were. And the way that they would do that is if you mandated vaccines, the people that would resist are the people who said that they had a religious exemption.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the easy way to identify who had not been vaccinated. So you could immediately target them for elimination to put them in concentration camps. I just realized that's what and I've been hypothesizing myself, and I believe I am right, and I'm being proven right. They've been experimenting with this fun vax in these various pocket stations where you see this sudden direction for people just basically hating freedom, hating America, right? All of a sudden, right? Because it wouldn't just be religious fanatics, right? About would be considered, something that you're fired up about, right? Fundamental religious fanatics,
Right.
is what they're saying. But you could be religious about, Yankees, right? And you take it, and all of a sudden you hate the Yankees.
Right.
But what if you were, a lot of these groups, they completely shifted the direction of what some of these places were, right? Beautiful places that they turned into slums. People that, areas that are known for, patriots and freedom fighters suddenly protesting giant crowds in Antifa. Pretty amazing if you think about it.
Yep. It's dastardly. They're really treating this as a herd. They want to basically, call out the ones that are, connected to God, right, and leave behind drones. People just follow orders.
That's right.
And that's it.
That's exactly what they want. And everybody get your vaccine. That way they can track you. Then they know where you are at all times. Always know what you're doing. Yep. Not know what you're doing, by the way. Control what you're doing.
Right.
After a while, you won't need to be any electronic devices at all because you will be an electronic device. They'll tell you what to think, what to say, what to do.
Right.
Right inside your head. You want to watch TV, you'll just touch your temples and a screen will show up. Only you can see.
Yeah.
That's the mass technology that already exists, right?
Yeah. If they eliminate the belief in God or the connection to God, then they replace it with the voice of God in your head and tell you what to do. Turn left, turn right, pick up that tool.
Yep.
There's
a black. If you ever watched the show Black Mirror, right? Now, Black Mirror, everybody should watch. Right, the first 3 seasons you should watch on Black Mirror. So it's like maybe 12 episodes total. But there's one where on the Earth, it's like 90% of the population has been eliminated because there was all of these people that were sick like zombies, right? And they treated people like zombies. So basically, you have all these soldiers, and they're talking about killing. They call them roaches. How many roaches have you killed, right?
Yeah.
And basically, what they have is they have a mass. They call it MASS. It's a type of technology that they inject in the back of your skull. And what it does is it affects the way that you see things. So at night when you dream, you have a dream about your spouse or whoever that you want to be with, right? And you have this fabricated reality in your head, and you think you have this person. And even when you come out of your dream, talk about that person like they're real, right? And then they would go out and they would hunt these people down, kill them. And then one of them put this electronic device in one of the soldier's eyes.
Tank, your audio is a little bit wobbly.
Okay, so they took this electronic device and they flashed it in front of his eyes and disabled the mass, right? And so basically the mass created. Now the mass was really advanced because when the soldiers wanted to see something, the drones would go up and all of them would be looking at the same model that the drones were looking at. It would just be like a hologram that would appear for all of them, right? And this one soldier, he had his mask turned off, and he realized they were just regular people.
Oh.
So they were hunting people, right? And he realized it. And so then he went back in, right, to be like, I know what you're doing. Why are you doing this? Why would you? And the evil villain who designed it was basically like, look, you agreed to this. And he sat down with him, he showed him the tape of him agreeing to do this, right? And then he told him, he goes, you know how many people you killed? How many horrible things you've done? And he showed him all this tape of him and all these terrible things he did to get him to accept the mask in the first place, right? Like all the things that they programmed him to do. And he had no memory of it. So the guy was devastated at what he had done. He was heartbroken, right? That he had killed these innocent people. So he didn't want to live with the guilt and the shame of that. So they put the mask back in his head, right? And so then it shows him going home, and it looks like he's going home to this beautiful house, and this beautiful wife and kids are there. And then you pan back out to see the reality, and it's this broken down shack. He's all by himself. So it's the creation of this fake reality is what they were doing.
So it's kind of like in the Matrix film where the guy wants to be reinserted back in to the Matrix,
Yep.
right? Because he doesn't like the real reality of what the world is, right? So he wants to go back in. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's really, the same decision that we have
Exactly.
right now, right? This is what we're doing.
It's the same decision we have right now, and what has been happening. If you think about it, everyone thinks we live in, not everyone, most of us have thought we live in one world. And right now, the covers have been pulled back enough that you can see it's not what we thought. Right? There's a massive depopulation agenda. That general, oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That is so accurate. How could anyone deny what that man just said?
Yeah. Well, it really shows that where the Russians, what they see, right, is as he's being upfront and he's right out in the open saying, we're fighting the Zionists, the Khazarian mafia is the way I like to term them, because we don't get into the you're against Jews, right? When you say Zionists, right? And then but the Khazarian mafia being the world powers, the shadow government around the world, using the implements of money and government and the financial corporatocracy, that's been built, to be able to maneuver everything the way they want it. And so, he says, well, we're not the initial targets. It's America and Europe, right?
Right.
And there was a faction that was working within China, and they, used this on the people in China, right? And then they expanded it with a deadly version that made it into Italy. Well, interesting that I wonder if that was just a batch that slipped through, and the other ones were able to be diffused by, the good guys, the white hats, whatever,
Yeah, whatever they are. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's amazing that that's out there, and I think there's a very healthy place to be able to look at this stuff right now and say, this is what we've been up against, right? Now, let's be grown-ups for a minute, right? Now, you would never let your child pretend like something did not exist that was a real threat, right? Yeah. Let's be grown-ups. Let's just be grown-ups for a minute and say, look, this is the reality. It's an uncomfortable and awful truth. Now, we can allow it to devastate us, and we'll never recover. Or we can just accept that we have a chance to change it. Let's just step forward and move together, right? Really powerful thing tonight on these calls. Ava, this very gifted, woman. She was actually a sports fitness model, for a lot of years, right? Like trained, like should have been Miss Olympia, right? Actually, but she got targeted, right? Because she was having these galactic experiences, right? And she was talking about the like the bodybuilding community being more like the mafia, right? And when she said that, after she said that, she got targeted. They started nicknaming her 8th place Ava. She would make it just so far, but she never was the champion, right? But she should have been, right? Like she was quality enough that she should have been, right? And but in talking to her, you can see like she's talking about all these amazing experiences she's had, right? Because she was waking up, and she speaks like light language, right? That is this it was just something. It's not. It wouldn't be something that would make you popular, you know, in the cabal's fake world. But it's real. I witnessed it myself tonight. I was on a call with her and some other people, and I witnessed her do it, and it was really incredible. And it was not something you can fake right now. Now this is the reality, right? But everybody shies away from it, right? Because we don't want to scare people. We're too. But why not just embrace, like, hey, this is a part of who we are as a people. There's more to us than dogma, right? And just religious indoctrination or political indoctrination, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is that becomes the thing that dominates what we become. This is a moment in the history of mankind where we have, 38 hours or so until it's over. And we have completed the transition from the dark to the light. And that's where we're at. And I will tell you this too. Kim was talking about this very clearly, like about this network, right? The UNC, the United News Channel that she wants to put out there. The whole point is to provide solutions. Now, I feel great about what she's doing because it really lets me know that what we've been doing is in harmony with God. Because what she got from God. She was like, this is what I was told to do.
Yeah.
That's what she said. And to me, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and we're ending right now with this T-0. We're ending in a countdown. We started our program, our broadcast adventure with a countdown on, because the GCR, it's the GCR, the big lie, the countdown to the GCR happening, right? That was the date. It was coming, right? And we knew it wasn't, right? It wasn't going to happen, but we wanted to go along with that and show that. But just before that happened, I had built the platform, wwg1wga.love website, for the purpose of it being a platform to bring out this alternative news, so that as YouTube was going to shut people down and everything, if you were locked into this website, you would be able to find everything, and it would be categorized into different sections. And as soon as we started, there was no way for me to go back to that, right? So it's kind of been sitting there, on the side, just waiting for this time, right? And so we're ending this with a countdown. Everything is lining up. All the positive things are in alignment. Amazing stuff happening in the world. For us to, the Great Awakening happening. And it's just miraculous, I'm so happy that we're on this journey. And Michelle is on. Hey, Michelle.
Hello, Dan. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Mrs. Walker, what's up?
I came on for an emergency, kind of. I'm needing some help from your audience.
Okay.
So, can I come in for just a second? I need a platform for a minute.
Yeah, you sure you go.
About 30 minutes ago, I was contacted that we had a 911 and the Concord Hospital, New Hampshire. So any of the one that is listening, want to make sure you know what hospital we're talking about. So Concord Hospital, New Hampshire, and they are currently holding the mother, Elisa Philpott, and baby boy. They will not release them. We had our baby in New Hampshire at Concord Hospital. The nurse came in while she was sleeping and took her temperature without her consent, even though she had already been discharged. Now they're demanding she take a COVID test, and she has refused. They are threatening to take her baby away. They have called DCFS, and now they have put a camera in her room and are refusing to let her leave. And she has been discharged officially for 4 days. this is considered at this point it's a big kidnapping.
Yeah.
And there was no complications from birth for either of them, and both fine. If they are refusing to let them leave until she agrees to take the COVID-19 test, and they've got a camera full time watching her. Um, so I had called the hospital and on her behalf, and got to speak to the nurse in charge. Her name is Jessica. And just simply audio to the Fight Club. So I'm sure then we'll probably have out tomorrow. And just let them know that they were in violation of child trafficking. Um, she's been discharged. She has under they violated HIPAA violations. She has the right to refuse care. But the problem is she's already been discharged. I let the nurse know as well that she has her oath to the state, and anyone that I would be foyering on Monday, all of their staff that's been involved on these floors with this child and baby, and we would be foyering them. When two or more people that are witness a crime and they do not report it, especially when it's within a government agency, or you have a license like a nurse, a doctor does, if two or more witness that crime and they don't do anything, they are in violation of 18 U.S.C. 241 and 18 U.S.C. 242, which is that's if two or more witness, like going against someone's rights, that it can be up to a 10-year imprisonment, as well as, if anyone dies, it can be up to the death penalty. And there's also, I don't remember the exact money fine on it. So I let the head nurse know this, Jessica, and I let them know that we were wanting her to be immediately released. If not, by Monday morning, I would have papers, and I would be holding all of them by the end of the month in their official and private capacity, to hold them accountable for what they're doing. I said, when you got DCFS involved, and TPS is not a government agency. It is a charter. And I said, so you're basically calling the corporation like Walmart can deal with it. And so kind of threw the book at them, and there's no mother that should be scared in the United States or anywhere in our world right now. I don't care what is going on. And they let them know that no emergency can suppress your constitutional rights. And what they're doing right now is going against our constitutional rights. So she did try to say to me at one point, I said, whoever you go speak with, because she said they may go speak with their risk master, administration. I said, I don't care who you can call the president, you can call your law firm right now, have them call me right back. I don't care who you call. I'm telling you how it is. And I said, they don't tell you, people like this, what is going on, and that you can be held for all these crimes because they've gotten by with it. But you need to realize that in every state right now, in all 50 states, we are setting up these state assemblies as your government. And I said, and you will no longer have the protection of the de facto government. So the crimes that you are doing, you will be held accountable, and you will no longer be held accountable in their court. You are going to be held accountable in the people's court, the fourth branch of the people. You will not have a government judge administrator. They're not even judges in the United States. They're administrators that would be able to protect you, because you would be judged by your peers, the people, the fourth branch. And so it's like, if I was in your position, there's nothing that I would do, because they're not going to protect you, that I would be kidnapping, I would be charged with all these crimes that I can charge you right now, and be held in this position. And he said, and you need to go talk, whoever you talk to, let them know. All of you are there right now. I can hold you in your official private capacity. This is as well go to your spouse's assets, because you can do that. And I said, you will be held accountable in your official and private capacity, as well as the state does not have immunity. So right now, I don't know if she's going to speak to me, of course, when she calls the risk master and all them, his administrator, because they know that I'm in contact with this patient and their family. A very good friend. We have someone from New York who is helping us with this case. And so they do know that we are involved. And what I would like, if we could get people, Joe, is to let people know on their social media and right now that at Concord Hospital, they are unlawfully holding a patient. I don't care if every one of you call and you ask and, and let them know that we're going to continue to go forward, that she needs to be released. And so the number to this hospital is 603-225-2711. If you're in New Hampshire, I need you to go raise some hell at this charitable organization and for women. And if you're a mother and you gave birth to a child and you're right now have done nothing wrong, and you're in a position that you're fighting for your child, they will not let you leave. And it's prison. This is everything that we talk about, change, and all of us we talked about that we're fighting for. And I think it's really a time right now that we all need to stand up and fight on behalf of this mother and child. And we cannot continue to allow governors, lawyers, administrators, city councils, as well as hospitals and doctors to arrest these people. And there's not a document that really says they have a jurisdiction. And they'll end up taking the child away. I even told the woman, I said, I know how y'all work. If a child, I have affidavits from states. It's the same playbook. The child is something that someone's requested. A lot of times when the child is born, the nurses will take pictures. That those pictures are sent to CPS. And if someone wants that child and will pay the price, they're going to say something's wrong, and they take the child is adopted out or trafficked out, and you never see the child again. So I think this is a real emergency. It is an emergency where you have to realize this is going right now in the United States. And the only way this will stop is when we all come together, we're willing to fight for every one of us, and we stand up for this. So if you could help for the platform, and that can help get this out, and all of you can share this on your social media to help make a difference and to release Elisa Philpott and her baby boy, it would be very helpful.
So Michelle, just to recap. So there is a mother who has given birth to a healthy child. They are currently they were already discharged, they were healthy. When mother was sleeping, the nurse came in and took their temperature without her consent. And now they want her to take a COVID-19 test, which we all know that leads to, if they can say that you have COVID-19, they'll take your child. So now we also know that this is a regular practice that the CDC has already stated they will do. They will take the children. They recommend taking the children. And we also know that it's a regular practice from these DHS and Child Protective CPS that they'll traffic kids, and they have a catalog. They photograph the babies. They allow these pedivore, child rapists to just go through a book and say, I want that one, and just take the child. We know for a fact this happens. So this mother, she's there with her baby, basically being held hostage in this hospital, and they're trying to take her baby, and they won't let her leave. So she is imprisoned for being healthy in the wrong place right now, and they are violating her rights. Is that right, first of all?
Correct.
Okay. And and you've already put them on notice. You have already told them the terms are violating. Sorry, go ahead.
I put them on notice, the Michelle way, about a 15-minute conversation with them. So they are definitely on notice. They know what's coming.
So we highly recommend, we're going to end this. I'm pretty sure Dan and I, that's enough for today, probably. But we're going to end this right after this. And you can share this with everybody in New Hampshire that this is happening. And what Michelle says that she puts people on notice the Michelle way. That is the same way where she has snapped her fingers at judges to get them to stop because she knows the laws. Where she just got Sandra Arendt, who was falsely, unlawfully arrested in Sacramento for exercising her right to, to assemble and to speak her mind at a protest on a public space. She was arrested, and Michelle called to show them that they were violating U.S. or 18 U.S. Code 241 and 242, and blew them up, and they got her out right away. And just
20 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah. And by the way, I called too. And you know what I got done? Nothing. She called and took care of it. Now, I didn't know the rest of that code, but now, next time, I will call with the Michelle way. And I'll say this too. So that being said, just so everybody's clear who sees this in New Hampshire, every single person at that hospital who wants to enable this abduction, kidnapping that you're doing right now, we didn't stop there. Because even though they let Sandra out right like 20 minutes later, the fact that they had her in the first place, we're going after the police there in that area. So believe me, you do well to do right by this mother. Because we'll come back to you too. Because we actually know for a fact that this whole COVID-19 scamdemic that you guys are running, we know why it's happening. So if Michelle's involved, I highly recommend you people at that hospital know this. Everybody in your family, everybody will be notified. And it will be a relentless attack because we will enable everyone to actually get justice because this has to stop. You can no longer just keep perpetuating lies and myths because of ignorant practice. I don't care who's giving the orders. Your career is not more important than that baby and that mother's life. So I just want to make sure that was clear. So, that
And
being
it's
said,
true. It's because there's no reason for this. I think it's very sad that a mother's been held hostage for 4 days, and I think that all 50 states need to understand that the work that Tank and I started, and with our teams, the core team, so many people have been involved. We started Waffle America in December, and we worked with resentment, and as well as at this point, we put in many states, all the legislators were personally served. They had 40 days to get constitutional compliant. Governors, the Department of Education, Department of Health in every single state, and was informed, and they did not answer. So we've already won that part by default, vaccines and mandates. And the only state that responded was Florida, and the Florida responded with a very stupid answer that
Dexter, be quiet.
Vaccines by statute. Statutes are not law. So statute is not law. And we really need the people to really realize that you're under a legislative law. And legislative law is only for the people that work for the government, and it's not for us. And we're under constitutional law, common law, natural law, and rights that have been bestowed to you upon your creator. And we are deceived to think that we are under these, we are not. And I talked to her a little about contracts, and I think she knew at the end, when I told her again that they would be held in their official and private capacity, she literally said, she goes, "Are you threatening me? Because I feel like I'm threatened." I said, "No, ma'am, I'm not threatening you. I'm telling you how it is. I'm not threatening you. I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing." and it is not threatening. Um, Educating someone by the law of your actions is not threatening. What I told her is what is threatening is to the woman that you've got held, that's been kidnapped and trafficked, you're wanting to traffic at this point in that room. Now that's the real threat here. And anyone that's listening in the public capacity, once you step outside your oath, you're no longer protected in the official capacity, and you are now held in the private capacity. And so I would like to let y'all know that what we have here is, it's not necessarily the nurses' fault, the doctors and everything. They've been indoctrinated like we were for so long. And so we've all been deceived. But we have an opportunity right now, more than ever, to come into this and have new light, and we all start stepping up to protect each other. We will only win when we all step up together and fight for each other's rights. Now, I want all of you to realize we have been working very hard as well to get these state assemblies set up. And please understand, we think it's a lot of work. There is some dedication in it, and just getting the paperwork set up and everything. You only need 30 people to have your freedom in each state. If you're not willing to call your friends, I don't care if they're in other states, I know between all of us, we know 30 people. And so I'm asking all of you right now, please get 30 people together. As soon as you have the meeting, you are on your way to have a de jure government. The minute that de jure government is set up, the de facto government has to step aside. And we are not anti-government. We are anti-corrupt government. You need to realize we are not fighting government. We are fighting corporations and charters. You have the power right now. You may not have that power 6 months down the road if you don't step up. And so I'm asking all of you, we need only 30 people in each state to have your freedom. You're not dedicated enough to reach out to 30 people and become a part of this. For children, if that baby right now has no voice, if you and I don't come to the table, that baby has no voice. And it is a situation I see over and over, that a woman gives birth and she never sees that child again. And I see a lot of times that child is trafficked out. DPS is responsible for 88% of child trafficking. The number one consumer for child trafficking is the United States. We have a charter that is contracted through another charter that we all think is government. Do you think they're going to use their court system to prosecute them, to end child trafficking? They won't. The only way that we will all have freedom is when we come together, set up assemblies, have a de jure government, and we hold people accountable. We work with the true government. They have only been given 21 powers in their constitution. They have overstepped every one of them. And health is not in the Constitution. They are overstepping. And I really think it's really sad if you hear this message and you're not willing to find the friends that you have, the co-workers, and say, we need 30 people, and we've got our path. So I'm asking you every day, the CPS, that is the pimp that traffics 88% of the children in the United States. 700 children a day in the United States are taken by CPS unlawfully. It's against the 4th Amendment, as well as the 11th, as well as many other things, so we can start there on just alone. Are you willing to sit back to let 700 children a day that we know that charter is responsible for 88% of child trafficking. And I try to stay very kind about these things, but I know what can happen to this baby. I've seen it over and over. I've worked these horrific cases, and I hate to be so frank, but I'm so angry right now. And I've said this on a call before, and I'm pretty much gonna just lay it how it is. You don't get involved, and you tell me that you are okay with a 3-year-old child being raped 12 times a day in CPS care and having a penis in her mouth. If you can't come to the table for that, please go check your moral compass. And I hate to be that rough. Y'all been here for Kara Waskowski's case. We never got to finish the autopsy. They have put Kara off, even though we have a court order saying that we need another court order. They are doing that because they knew the courts were closed. The Palatine police and spoke to Kara. They had already spoke to the one that independent person doing the autopsy a few days before. She gave them details. They talked about the blood and the bruises under his nose. That child and jawbone and head, brain, heart, all missing. We've not had access to, because we know that child's death is not a natural death. We know that. Kara got a letter yesterday or the day before from the Palatine police that the autopsy has not been finished, and they have not been able to get a hold of them, and they are. I'm trying to want your guys to remember, and so they closed the case. They said because the autopsy is not been finished in time for them, they're not taking any evidence. They're not going to take the evidence of this autopsy, and they closed the case that he died of natural causes.
So they stalled the autopsy. Then they said, well, they cleared the case because the autopsy wasn't done in time.
JD?
Yes, sir. It is.
Was that JD?
Yeah.
And they were stalling. We talked about that. You and I already knew that the court order did not say that. And so we kind of felt like this is what possibly could happen. And the independent autopsy that we have changed, and you know who I'm talking about, on 4 days ago. During my discussion with Detective Police, I read to him the preliminary report, the same one that we have. Okay, thanks. And you and I know what's in that one. It was Detective Truly that brought to my attention that suffocation was in his differential of possibilities to roll out. I explained to him that suffocation in a child may leave no marked signs at autopsy, and the diagnosis relies heavily on the investigation team and interviews of those who were there. But remember, we still have not been able to finish the autopsy. Remember, they buried Kara's son without her knowing. She did not even get time to say goodbye to her son. And the child had 9 months on prolapse. They had been protected by the Palatine police, Judge Dawson. And by the time I get done with them, because I'm finishing New York, I'm about to make my way on Illinois next week. Kara received this letter 2 days ago from the Palatine Police Department. May the 15th, response to email date May the 14th, 2020. Ms. Wiskowski, 12/13/19, Detective Shirley made contact with Dr. Newman, requesting her report on its completion. She did not share any preliminary findings with Detective Shirley. To date, we have not received a report from the doctor. I'm not going to say her name. Therefore, we are unable to include it with all case files. The Cook County Medical Examiner has ruled on this case, and we are obligated to act in accordance with these findings. Consequently, no further investigation will be concluded, and this case is considered closed. Additionally, we will not be amending any report. I am truly sorry for your loss. I will continue to help keep you and your family members. Sincerely, Commander Steve Blatcher, the detective commander from the Palatine Police Department, who also needs to have the same warning at the New Hampshire hospital that since you closed the case, you no longer have protection under the Freedom of Information Act. So maybe one of your biggest mistakes in the last week was that you have held her off. You would not let us have access to the organs. We had documentation after documentation after documentation. Because you closed the case, I now get to FOIA every single email, every single correspondence, all the documents through Freedom of Information Act. And so what you did this week was probably a very stupid ass move. I am not going to quit fighting until I get justice for Kara, James, and Sasha. There is still a crime going on, and we're going to make sure that justice is done. Again, remember, 18 USC 241, 18 USC 242. That is what sends you to prison, not jail. We don't do corporate jail in my fight. We do real prison. So we have a fight in front of us, and Dan, thank you for the platform, for helping us, and we'll make sure Speak Project puts the audio out for this call, and tomorrow we'll continue to give you updates. But in the chat, I have dropped the mother's name, the Concord Hospital out of New Hampshire's phone number. Some of you were asking. And so you have that information, as well as tomorrow when SID is up, I'll make sure that we put out some more information that we all will know how to get a hold and how you can help. So there's multiple ways you can help. We all have to play our part. And I ask for all of you to please help us set up all these state assemblies. Go find me 30 people. You're 30 people away from freedom.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Michelle.
So, and then one last thing, I want to make sure to include this to every single police officer, fireman, doctor, nurse, everyone who's involved, who is complicit in following orders that they know violates their actual responsibilities, their conscience, or their oath of office. Please know what you're doing is you're taking a stand against the people, and in all likelihood it's because you don't want to lose your job, your pension, or whatever. What is happening right now across the nation is assemblies are coming together, and the people are realizing what they can do about it. So even though you got the orders from someone above you, you personally will be held in your private, personal capacity responsible, meaning there will be a lien put on your house, and you won't be able to sell your house, or it'll affect your credit, or different things like this. You won't be able to, there's a lot of other things that will be, all of your assets could have a lien put up. These are the full force of what the assembly has the ability to do. And this will take place, this is going to be taking place more and more and more, because we can no longer use the just fine. It does not matter. Do the right thing, learn your rights, get involved, Michelle Walker said, and that's all I've got. Dan, I think we should end it here and we can pick up tomorrow night. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good place. I just want to say, thank you again, Michelle. I'm glad that we're here to help and to get this information out. We need to, we're at T-0 and we're at the stage where light has won. That just means the armies of light have to now march. We have to move and take action to move out what's left behind. And this is the cleanup operation. And this is part of realigning those people that are just going along with things, or the ones that are, complicit or proactive in participating in these atrocities. We gotta make our moves. So please, take action, especially if you're in New Hampshire.
This is you know, Dan, this is what we're here for. And there are many of us here that came for this fight, and it's very important.
All right, we can end it there. I'm just going to stop the streaming, and we'll continue tomorrow. Stay on the line, both of you, for a moment.